Good evening, analysts, fund managers, and bankers. So welcome to fourth quarter and full years 2021 earnings conference call with Thai Union Group. Our key speakers today, may I introduce first Mr. Ludwig Garnier, Group CFO.
Hi, good evening, good afternoon for the guys in Europe, and good morning for those in the US or in Canada.
Next, Ms. Narisa Pahunrat, Group Accounting and Controlling.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
And Ms. Nelly Goldman, Investor Relations.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning.
And myself, Gavali from Investor Relations. So this session will be approximately 1 hour with a presentation about 30 minutes and then followed by Q&A. So you can submit Q&A in the chat box or unmute your microphone during the Q&A session. So please allow me to pass on to Mr. Ludwig to begin the session. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kungel. Very happy to be with you tonight and to share the results. Maybe you have already a first look at the press release. The performance is fantastic. So we are delighted to share a lot of good news with you tonight. I hope you are all safe. Some of us are in the office, some others are at home. So sorry, we need to keep the mask for the people working in the office. Tonight, we will mostly focus on 2021 performance. And you know that we have tomorrow a physical meeting where we will elaborate a bit more 2022. But we wanted to focus tonight on the financial performance and really 2021. And you will see the performance is really great. Just as a nutshell, a few topics on this one. I don't present you Thai Union, of course, you know very well. A few topics which are very interesting. I think since 2018, our CAGR, in terms of net profit, has been very interesting, around 16% per annum. Very strong performance. Of course, if you do remember, in 2018 and 19, we did record some significant antitrust accrual, but in 2020 and 21, the performance has been really improving. And in fact, you will see if you look at the performance over the last 8 quarters in a row, both the top line and the gross profit margin story is very interesting for us. As a result, you will see our profitability is record high. We were a few years ago in a range of 14 to 15% gross profit margin. We told you we will focus on this one, and right now we are around 17 to 18%. Our dividend policy has been very consistent. Over the last few years, you will see with the dividend we will announce, the expectation is in terms of yield will be around 4.5 and 4.5%. And we believe this is a very attractive dividend for us. We will share also our net debt to equity is still below 1. We are happy with this one, even if it is increasing in 2021. You know also, and we did communicate on this, that we decided to unlock some value. We did go for IPO for TFM last October. Very happy about this one, and you know that we have the project to maybe also go for IPO for another significant component, which is called ITEL. ITEL, if you do remember, this is the company taking care of the pet care business within TU. Lastly, we have Red Lobster. We'll have some specific slide on Red Lobster to explain where are we on this one. The idea here is to turn around. It will take a bit of time. We are very clear on this one, but the results in 21 are good, are really improving compared to previous year, which was really impacted by the COVID-19. And the plan is to go for IPO in the 3-4 years if we are successful in the turnaround. We will share with you also some few topics regarding innovation and automation. You know, it's one of the key focus that we have. We have some new businesses, ingredients, supplement, and alternative. And again, we will share with you some quick update on this one. We have our CVC, our corporate venture fund, where we have been quite active in 2021. And finally, in terms of sustainability, you know, we are very strong also in this one, and we did receive some few awards in 2021. Next one, if we just focus on the quarterly results first, and all the KPI are really green, all of them are very strong. The context, of course, continues to be very complicated, and we have some strong numbers, but we are facing some huge challenges in terms of supply chain, in terms of pandemic. The COVID-19 together with the Omicron variant is still here. and it creates some issue. And we are also facing with some challenges in terms of inflation. So very difficult context. Despite all of this, we do achieve all-time high quarterly sales at 38.5 billion baht. Our gross profit margin at 18.2 is also very interesting, increasing slightly compared to last year. OP very close to 2 billion. You will see it's increasing a bit compared to last year, not huge, however, because we have a very strong impact on the SG&A coming from the logistic cost again in Q4, and I will elaborate a bit more on this one. Net profit 1.9, also growing a lot versus last year. We have some good news below the OP, and I will elaborate a bit more. If I just talk once again about the top line, so 38.5, I told you all-time high by far, a new record high for us. It's a growth by 15% compared to last year. Of course, we have a strong FX impact, okay, and then we will show that roughly it's 5%, but excluding the FX, our organic growth is still around 10%. And something which I think is very interesting for you is the three categories, ambient, frozen, and pet care and value added, are growing in 2021. This is the first time, you know, that in Q1 to Q3, the ambient business was kind of normalizing compared to 2020. 2020 was exceptional for the ambient business because of the COVID-19. Now in Q4, we can see the three categories are really growing. Gross profit margin at 18.2, you will see the ambient and the frozen margin are very interesting, very high. The pet care is a bit normalizing. That was expected. We told you that we were not expecting the very high gross profit margin coming from the pet care and value added to continue for the whole year. SG&A ratio, of course, very high in Q4. You can see 13.1. This is extremely high for us. Last year it was only 12.2. The key explanation, the key driver is really the logistic cost. And then in terms of net profit, you will see we have some good news. So the OP is increasing, the share profit is improving. We have some FX gain, and we don't have a lot of increases in terms of interest expenses and tax expense. So overall, very good news for the quarter in all KPI. Of course, the 12 months and the full year picture is also very interesting. You can see from the right to the left, the sales, it's a new record high for us. We are exceeding 141 billion baht for the first time. Same story for the gross profit. We are very close on the 26 billion baht. The OP at 8.3 also is a new record high. EBITDA just below 15 billion baht is also all-time high. And net profit was record high in 2020 at 6.2. Now we are exceeding 8 for the first time, so also very happy about this one. I go quick on this picture because it's green everywhere. You can see also the share price has been very positive in 2021, thanks to our strong performance, and even in 22 so far, we are also exceeding the SET. The net debt to equity is very healthy. We are below 1. You know, our guidance is to be between 1 to 1.1, yet it has been increasing compared to 2020, and I will elaborate a bit further on the reason why. The dividend, of course, we want to share these very good news with our shareholders. So we announced here a final dividend of 0.50 Thai baht per share. The full year will be at 0.99. 0.99, you can see you have the historical track record over the last few 15 years. It will be all-time high for us in 2021. The payout ratio is at 57, very close compared to what we had before in the previous years. And again, the dividend yield around 4.5% is something which is very, very attractive. Next one, we just wanted to do a quick focus also on the investment journey. And I think we have been quite active in 2021. We didn't do some very large deals. However, we did a lot of small topics, and I think now we are in a much better situation. So if I start from the left, so first of all, we did acquire the minority interest at Rügen Fisch. If you do remember Rügen Fisch, this is our ambient business in Germany, and we were sharing. We were having the control of this company since the acquisition, 2016. However, there was a large minority shareholder for 49%, so we bought them out, and now we can fully integrate this company, and we are looking forward for the result from this one. And then we did 2 minority investments. The first one for 10% for the company called Clover. It's a company in Australia in the ingredient business, and they are the leader in terms of tuna oil encapsulation. The second one is a Thai company called RBF. Again, we bought 10%. These two companies are listed companies, of course. And RBF is a leading food ingredient company in Thailand. This is one of our suppliers. And we want also to grow the business. It's a growing business. They did share the numbers. I think it was over the last few days. It's a very profitable business and very attractive for all of us. And then we did a lot of joint venture, and we did communicate at the beginning of 21 that the priority was not really doing some M&A, acquiring or taking the control of some companies. We can still do that, but it has to be very attractive. We want to push further and to develop all the joint ventures, and we did 3 of them in 2021. And you can see here the first one with ThaiBev, the second one with Interpharma, and the last one with Starflex. And here the idea is really to collaborate and to partner with these large companies. They are kind of experts in their areas, and we are also some experts in our own area. And we believe by being together, we can be stronger. Of course, the impact in 21 is very small from all these companies, all these joint ventures, but we do have some nice forecasts on the years to come coming from these different joint ventures. The blue column, this is our CVC, our corporate venture activity. We did 4 significant investments in 2021. The first one in Blue Nalu, and the third one you can see Alep Farm. The 2 of them here, they are in the cell cultivative meat and seafood startup. Very interesting. I'm sure you've seen a lot of communication around Blue Nalu. They are very active on the social media. Very happy to be there to partner with them. The third one is a company called Viaqua. It's a biotechnology company, and also here the idea is to develop also and to partner with them on how to improve the aquaculture. The last one is Orgafeed. Orgafeed, it's a Thai startup. We are very happy to be with them. They are leading on the insect-based treats in Thailand, and we have some good collaboration also with them. So total, we have something like 8, 9, or 10 different investments since 2019, since we started this program, and we want to push further. The last piece is not the less important. We did tell you that we'll manage our portfolio in a more dynamic way. And we will sell Meralliance Poland. We told you that we had some difficulties in Q3. In this factory, it's a small factory of Meralliance, our salmon business in Thailand. We told you we were facing some difficulties in Q3, and since quite a while, because we lost some significant customers here. We have been trying to turn around the picture for 2 years, but finally we decided that we would close the business, and we did agree with one local player to sell our assets there. And of course, we have an impact in our Q4 numbers. The impact is 154 million baht, a combination of impairment of PPE and also restructuring costs. So you have to keep in mind the 1.9 billion baht net income in Q4 includes this one-off, and we will report this one in the one-off adjustment. Of course, we continue to have our Meralliance business. The key business is really in France. It's a profitable business. No issue with this one, and we are very happy with the 2021 performance. We did also sold some businesses in Middle East to our local partner in Q3, and also our Canadian Lobster business in early 2022. All the accounting impact for these 2 transactions were already considered before, back in 2020, for most of them. So we don't have any significant impact in our numbers in 2021. However, we are happy. We were looking to exit these businesses, and we were good in the execution of this deal. Of course, we are still facing with the COVID-19 challenges. The COVID-19 is still among us. We are facing with a new Omicron variant. We are very careful regarding the health of our employees. This is one of our key priorities. The vaccination progress has been very interesting in Q4. You can see here on the top, especially the vaccination progress in Thailand. We are talking about the first and the second dose, and we are also talking about the booster. We are pushing forward for this one. We are doing a lot of testing. The situation in Thailand right now, it's a bit volatile. We have an increase of our COVID-19 cases. Same situation as the one we are seeing in Europe and the US, even if in the numbers in Thailand are much smaller compared and very far away from the numbers they have to face in Europe and in the US. However, we still have all our protection measures in our different factories. We are very careful about this one. The good news is in Q4, all our factories are back to normal production. If you do remember, in Q3, ITEL, TUS, and YCC, so 2 factories in Thailand, 1 factory in Vietnam, they were closed from 1 week to a few weeks in Q3. So we had to stop the operation because of the COVID-19. In Q4, we don't have this impact. Of course, we have a bit of a ramp-up curve because when we close the operation, then we need a bit of time to get back to normal operation. The good news is in Q4, we don't have any more issue, and the production network is now up and running in a normal way. We just wanted also to share with you, we did a lot of CSR efforts in 2021. We are fully aware that we are very lucky with our growing business in 2021. We know many difficulties, we know many customers, many people are facing with some difficulty on their day-to-day work. And here you can see like a summary of all the donation activity we have been doing over the past 2 years. Honestly, I'm very proud about this. We have been donating something like 4 million servings of food over the last 2 years. This is extremely high. Again, we want to also to contribute and to help the people and to share the people who are facing with some difficulty. Of course, we are a food company, so for us it's quite easy to help the people who are in needs in terms of food. We also did some specific transaction. Next one, we did some collection of trash. We did this one very close to our factories in Thailand. The top management of Thai Union, you can see some nice pictures. Honestly, it's a very nice and fun activity on one side. On the flip side, of course, you can see how the mangrove is polluted by plastic and by trash. And you can here we did collect 1.3 tons of trash. Very happy. I think it's a good thing also to try to help locally. I think total we have something like 100, 200 people collecting the trash everywhere. Very happy about this one-time activity. We did receive also in 2021 many awards, and you can see here a lot of them. I don't want to go through all of them. Maybe just one thing, one congratulations for the IR team. There are many awards for them, so very, very good about this one. Also a specific congratulations to Young Youth. You can see on the top right, we did a lot of blue finance activity in 21. I will get back to this also. And we did receive some recognition for this one. The one on the right is maybe the most important one. We are still listed on the DJSI for the 8th consecutive year. Very happy about this one. We are number 2 for 2 years in a row now. And we are also number 1 in the World Seafood Stewardship Index 2021. So all of this is good. Of course, we try to stay humble. It's good to receive this recognition, but we want to push further and to move forward in each of these areas. Blue finance, we want to continue to grow. Sustainability, we want to continue to grow, and we want really to lead the business in this area. Just moving a bit of more details in terms of financial results. You can see here the key takeaway. I discussed about the top line. I told you the 3 categories are growing. Excluding FX, the sales are increasing by 10.3%. 10.3, this is extremely high, especially for a Q4. Gross profit margin, you will see this one, and Lina will get back to that, but we are growing everywhere on this one. The OP, very close to the 2 billion baht, are only, if I may, increased by 2% because of the increase of the SG&A. But despite this one, we are delivering a very high net profit at 1.9, increasing by 33% compared to last year. Red Lobster share profit is improving, strong improvement compared to last year. Of course, last year was exceptional because of the COVID-19. However, we have also some negative and lower profit contribution coming from our Indian partner, Avanti and Avanti Frozen. You know, they have been facing with some shortfall of workers in their factories. Plus, they have been also facing with some issue of recall, large recall in the US. And that's why their performance has been decreasing in 2021 compared to last year, 2020. We do expect that they will get back to growth for next year. Maybe one of the key achievements also we had in 2021 was really our move to blue finance. I won't elaborate a lot, but overall, over the whole year, we have been refinancing a bit more than $800 million, 27 billion baht. Okay, so this is huge. That was expected. We knew in 21 we had a large part of our financing to be refinanced. We did some SLL, we did some SLB. I don't get back to the explanation. I think you are quite familiar with that. For the first time, we raised some money in Japan, and we are the first one to raise these kind of tools also in Thailand. For the first time also, we did some credit rating with the Japan credit rating agency. We got an A-. We are very happy about this one. This is equivalent to the Thailand sovereign rating, so very pleased about this one. The goal for us is to move and to have 50% of our financing be linked to sustainability-linked goals in 2022. And in 3 years from now, in 2025, we want to have 75%. This is to show how sustainability is clearly in the heart as part of our core business on this one. It's also one way to show to our shareholders and stakeholders that we have been investing a lot of money behind sustainability over the past few years, and we can also now collect the benefit also from this one. You can see here on the bottom left, we received some recognition also. I think there was a lot of excitement around all these new tools. We did receive a lot of awards on this one, a lot of questions. How do you do that? We have this kind of unique mechanism of step up and step down. So a lot of attraction behind all of this. Next one, you can see our top line gross profit margin since 2017. And I think the last 2 years, you can see 8 quarters in a row of growth in terms of top line. This is unique. If you look at 2017 to 19, this is really exceptional. Of course, we are also fully aware that we have been benefiting from the FX. Okay, and the fact that the Thai baht has been depreciating for us is a good news. And the last 2 years, we have been benefiting from this one. However, if you look at the gross profit margin, we are in a very stable situation. We have been delivering almost 18%, around 18% over the last 2 years. Question mark on the future, and we will talk a bit later regarding our guidance for 2022. But the idea is to confirm again in 2022 these very strong numbers. Net profit margin exceeding 5% in Q4 is very unusual. If you compare to the net profit margin that we delivered in 2020, 19, and the years before, this is very high. Of course, it's a bit lower compared to Q1 to Q3. No surprise. We know that in Q4, we have a push from our frozen business, which is a bit less profitable compared to the ambient or also the value-added and pet care business. Lastly, we wanted to share with you an update regarding the challenges we are facing. No surprise, we have been discussing about this one since few quarters already, but the logistic cost, we really don't see an improvement. You can see here the cost is still something around 5 times the cost it was before COVID-19. And you can see also the lead time between Thailand and the US is not improving, and in fact is deteriorating. And if you do remember, we told you that over the first 9 months, the impact of the additional logistic cost was something like close to 1 billion baht, 900 million baht. In Q4 standalone, okay, only in 1 quarter, the impact is very close to 700 million baht. So we are really impacted and hurt by the increase of this freight cost, and we don't see the improvement. We can see a bit of improvement in terms of operation, but this is really slow. And for the time being, it does not translate in decrease in terms of additional cost, SG&A, or also improvement in terms of lead time to Thailand. Another big challenge we are facing is, of course, inflation. We will explain to you where are we in terms of raw materials, but you can see here regarding some of our key packaging and ingredients, we are facing huge challenges in terms of inflation. The situation in December and January seems to be improving a bit, which is a good news. However, for sure, we'll have to pass through some tariff increase to our customers, to the retailers, if we want to absorb this cost. Of course, it's a very difficult challenge. You know that for many retailers, the ambient, our products are very often to be considered to be one of the products to be attractive to the people, so they want to keep the prices down on this one. Okay, but on this one, we don't have any choice, and our sales teams are working very hard to try to pass through the tariff increase to our customers. It will be a challenge for sure in 2022, but I think with the experience of 2021 and the fact that we were quite successful in passing through the logistic costs, I think we can be confident also for 2022. And now I will hand over to Lina just for some explanation regarding the tuna price.
Thank you, Ludo. Apart from the supply chain topics and inflation, which Ludo has just mentioned to you, the tuna raw material price has also been increasing. In 2021, tuna price was at $1,400 per ton, so this was up 2% from last year. But we have seen the tuna price inflate at the end of 2021, after we have been enjoying a relatively stable price in several quarters. So the increase was mainly due to poor weather patterns and lower catching. So you can see in the fourth quarter of 2021, we reached at $1,600 per ton level. And this has since been declining in January this year, which was in line with our expectations. You can see in the gray range here, so we say anything between $1,300 to $1,700 per ton is manageable for us. And we have been managing the fluctuations well, thanks to our cost efficiency and stringent inventory management policies. In 2022, we expect the tuna prices to be within a similar range from last year. On the next slide, for our three diversified core businesses, as Ludo mentioned, all categories have been growing in the fourth quarter, both year on year and quarter on quarter. For the ambient business on the left, the business in Q4 grew at a healthy level, both on the sales and the margin. Of course, 2020 was an exceptional year for the ambient business. And in Q1 until Q3 of 2021, it has been normalizing. So the result in Q4 is a good news for us, and we'll talk more on the next slide. The frozen business, sorry, maybe we can go, yeah, okay, thanks. The frozen business continued to turn around significantly in Q4, both with the sales and the margin, from a recovery of the food service and retail businesses. For pet care and value added, as Ludo mentioned, we faced a production hiccup in Q3. However, our business has normalized, and in Q4, we delivered a solid sales growth from continued strong demand and larger customer portfolio. And we will talk more about the pet care business in the next part. On the right-hand side, you can see that the sales for our group has been growing firmly, both compared to last year at 7% growth and also pre-COVID level at 12% growth, thanks to our well-diversified business portfolio and also geographic footprint. And at the bottom, for our, as you saw in the margin slide earlier, we have been lifting our gross profit margin from 16% at pre-COVID level to 18% in 2021, thanks to our efficient cost management, focus on higher value products and automation. Deep diving into the ambient business. Yeah. So in Q4, sales grew 5% year on year on the back of volume decline 5%. The sales value growth came from higher tuna sales in Europe and Asia, supported by higher selling prices and product mix. However, we have seen some softer demand, especially in the US after last year's pantry loading. For the profit margin, we continue to maintain the gross profit margin at a high level at 23% in Q4, coming from the higher selling prices, the product mix, and improving ambient businesses like tuna, sardine, mackerel, and salmon. For 2021, sales declined 6% year on year, which normalized after the peak demand during the lockdown last year. Despite that, we delivered a reasonable top line and consistent high margin, which is a proof point of our successful cost efficiency program. And even before pre-COVID level in the fourth quarter 2019, our ambient business grew firmly on sales and also uplifted its margin. For frozen, of course, this has been one of our key drivers. We saw a strong turnaround throughout 2021 after last year's impact from the pandemic, and it continued in the fourth quarter with a strong sales growth of 21% year on year. This was a mixture of both positive effects from higher selling prices and also strong demand for frozen seafood as people continue to return to restaurants. Given the strong demand, we have been able to maintain our margin at a healthy level at 12% in Q4, supported by lower conversion costs from automation and cost efficiency programs, and our focus on higher margin product mixes. For the full year, the picture is the same, with strong sales growth of 18% year-on-year, and mainly from the shrimp and lobster business and recovery of food service businesses in the US and Asia. Compared to pre-COVID, our top line grew strongly and our margin remained firm, and it's now back to pre-COVID level. Moving on to the pet care business. Of course, the pet care continued to be our rising star. It delivered a strong sales growth of 27% year-on-year in Q4 and 18% year-on-year in the whole of 2021. This was driven by continued strong demand for pet care products as people adopted more pets, our new products launched and portfolio expansion to new customers, as well as higher sales from value-added products and a strong performance from our packaging business. However, the sales volume slightly declined in Q4 as we sold less portions of low-margin products, following our focus on more profitability-enhancing SKUs. For the margin in Q4, it softened to 24% due to higher raw material prices and freight costs, which has impacted our US pet food trading business. However, for the full year, we have maintained our margin at a high level of 26% from our focus on profitability, new innovative products launched from our Global Pet Care Innovation Center, and continued strong demand of our products. Here are more details on the revenue component, starting with Q4. So we have been happy to deliver growth in all three categories. For ambient at the left-hand side of the chart, it has been improving, especially for tuna, after the normalization effect from last year's pantry loading. For frozen, as mentioned earlier, the turnaround continued, mainly from the recovery in shrimp and other frozen seafood segments. And of course, pet care and value added continued to grow in Q4. And apart from this, FX was also favorable in the last quarter, both in US dollars and euro. If we compare to the fourth quarter last year, ambient is growing, and pet care and value added continue to grow as well, with frozen recovery driven by the turnaround of restaurant businesses after the pandemic impact, which you can see here that there was a strong drop last year on the right-hand side. Next slide, please. For the full year, of course, ambient has been normalizing as we anticipated from a decline of global demand in canned food products after the pantry loading effect during the lockdown last year. Frozen grew significantly in all key segments, from shrimp to other seafood, from a recovery of food service and retail businesses in the US and Thailand. Pet care and value added also grew firmly from continued demand for pet care products and higher sales in value added and packaging. It's the opposite picture from last year, as you can see on the right-hand side, with the ambient growing firmly, the frozen declining, and a solid pet care. So that's it for the business performance by segments. Please allow me to pass it back to Ludo to talk on the Red Lobster slide.
Thanks a lot, Lina. And here you will see our usual slide on Red Lobster. I think there are a few topics for you to keep in mind for Red Lobster. The first one is, from the numbers, the situation is completely turned around compared to last year. You can see here on the top right, the full year share of loss coming from the operation of Red Lobster. It was minus 1.2 in 2020, record high, fully explained by the COVID-19. And now in 21, we did generate 178 million baht, so it's a huge improvement. We are not yet at the level of 2019 and 18. We are a bit behind. Plus, we have also some positive one-off impacting in 21, and we will get back to that in the adjustment, but we did benefit in 2021 from something like 120 million baht PPP forgiveness loan. You know that the US government did implement some measures to help the restaurant industry. So we benefited from this one, and there are some positive impact in our P&L in 2021. If you remove this one-off, your reference point should be for 2021 share of loss from operation for 300. Still really improving compared to 2020, but yet to be improved compared to 19 and 18. Just below this one, you have our new line. You know this one since Q1 already. We did record in 21 for the first time the lease accounting differences which exist between US GAAP and Thai GAAP. We told you that this amount is particularly significant. It will decrease a bit in the years to come, yet it will continue to be there. Just for you to keep in mind, our 8 billion baht include this huge loss coming from the lease accounting adjustment. Again, it's a pure accounting entry. There is no cash entry behind. And you will see here on the left all the details by quarter. You can see in Q4 21, we have been delivering a share of loss by 147, improving a lot compared to Q4 2020. The share of profit from the lease accounting is very stable from one quarter to another quarter, apart from Q1 where we had some catch up compared to the years before. The other income, the interest expense, and the income tax are kind of stable. However, there is a watch out you can see here the last paragraph on the beginning of 2022. The US, as you know, is of course really impacted by the Omicron variant, and I think the situation has been changing a lot over the last few weeks of December and also of January. So we are really facing with some challenges at the beginning of 2022. We have a decrease in the guest count, not only for Red Lobster, but I mean for the whole restaurant industry. So it's a watch out, and it happened at the time where we are facing also some challenges regarding inflation on the COGS, also some shortage in terms of labor force, and also some inflation also on the labor. Okay, so watch out for us in 2020, beginning of 2022. We will elaborate further on the guidance for Red Lobster for 22 in the Q&A session. And now I hand over to Amy, who will go through the net profit development.
Thank you, Ludo. My part, I will explain further the rest of the profit and loss statement and how we deliver strong net profit, our cash flow position, and ending with 2022 guidance. The external environment was difficult in 2021. The ongoing impacts of the pandemic, labor tightness, and shortages of supplies and logistics, which in turn drove many challenges in our operations. One of the key challenges is from logistic disruption. Increasing freight costs once again had the major effect on our bottom line. Freight price estimated 680 million baht in addition for the fourth quarter and 1,600 million baht in addition for full year. We continue to monitor the situation in 2022 and will take bold actions to compensate the losses. Turning to non-operating income and expense, we generated net favorable 430 million baht for the fourth quarter, driven by gain in other income, 255 million from addition Red Lobster management income in 2021, offset by Russia fair value adjustment we booked as a loss in 2020. The rest of the factors are FX gain 92 million, lower tax 66 million. Our tax from core operations increased from higher profit, offset by lower tax effect in Red Lobster, and that resulting in lower tax in this quarter compared to the same period of last year. Higher share profit 27 million, mostly from Red Lobster improved, as Ludo mentioned, offset by Avanti lower performance. Lastly, we are quite pleased with the financial results. Full year net profit first time exceeded 8 billion baht after last year record high to 6.2 billion. Next, please. Here are two adjustments in the fourth quarter. First, 154 million baht for Mer Alliance restructuring costs regarding the Poland plant divestment, mostly presenting in cost of goods sold. Second, 83 million baht loan forgiveness from Paycheck Protection Program granted to Red Lobster. This present in share profit line. Excluding these two adjustments, Q4 21 net profit was 2 billion baht and full year adjusted net profit was 8.4 billion baht. Next. Free cash flow for the quarter was 1.3 billion baht, improved versus same period of last year as a result of profit improvement, offset by change in net working capital increase, and full year cash 3.4 billion baht and cash conversion rate 32% was soft compared to 2020 record high. And I will add more color in the next slide. 12 months, we generated 3.4 billion baht free cash flow from operating activities. EBITDA increased 15 billion baht. Change in net working capital increased 7 billion, which in turn reduced our cash position. This was driven by high inventory level, primarily due to logistic constraints that caused slow moving of our stocks and raw material inflations. Net capital expense for the year was reasonable at 3.7 billion, which is lower than 6 billion we budgeted, thanks to our prudent management to reprioritize projects and some constructions delay due to COVID-19. Investing and financing activities, we have been quite active in minority investments. We mentioned the investments of Rugenfish, R&B Food Supply, Clover, the tuna oil company in Australia, and startup food tech companies. In addition, we successfully generated more funding capital for 1.5 billion baht from Thai Union Feed Mill IPO in the end of October 2021. Those combined are illustrated in the last pink bar on the chart. Altogether, 5.8 billion baht, including FX impact. The rest was our normal interest, dividend, and tax payments. Our net debt increased to 61 billion baht at the end of 2021. Net debt per equity is 0.99, increase from 0.94 in 2020. Next. Return on equity for the fourth quarter 16.1% as a result of profit gain and equity increase. Return on capital employed 10.4%, driven by higher profitability as well as inventory and investment in subsidiaries increase. Both ratios are on good track record. Now focus on inventory and net working capital in the middle of this slide. 2021 ending inventory 47 billion baht was our historically record high, mainly caused by container shortage and industry-wide inflations. So you see the inventory day jump from 125 days to 133 days year over year. Despite the challenge in the logistics, we have already seen some improvement quarter over quarter. Inventory days reduced to 133 days from 135 days, thanks to inventory turnover to sell quicker. For net working capital on the bottom, net working capital days also improved between last and current quarter, shortened to 110 days from 116 days, from inventory turnover faster and receivable collection days improved. Lastly, net debt per EBITDA and net debt per equity are within our manageable ranges. Next. So the strategic and financial progress we have made in 2021 deliver consistent returns and create strong momentum as we enter 2022. We expect the environment to remain dynamic in 2022 as we are continuing to pay close attention to manage through several external factors, including COVID-19, inflationary pressures, and upstream supply chain constraints. Most importantly, we will continue advance our strategic initiatives. That being said, our 2022 guidance are follows. We project revenue to grow 4 to 5%. We believe margins will continue to improve and expect gross profit margin to 18 to 18.5%. SG&A 12 to 13% of revenue. Capital expense 6 billion. These investments will continue to enhance our new product development, capital increase, and improve efficiency. No material changes in interest and dividend policy. And this is the end of 2021 presentation. Now I'll pass it back to Khun Gail to begin the Q&A session. Thank you.
Amy, just let me jump in this one of the guidance. Thanks a lot for the comments. I just want to tell you, of course, after such a fantastic year in 2021, it's always difficult to provide a guidance. Yet I think I want to highlight how stretched this guidance is. On the sales, I told you that we did deliver in 21 a record high sales by 6.5% increasing compared to last year. If you exclude the effects, the growth by 4%. We want to continue to grow next year, so that's why we have the 4 to 5%. The achievement in terms of gross profit margin is at 18.2 for 2021. We want to confirm that, and you see what the guidance is around 18 to 18.5%. The SG&A, we do expect this one to remain very high. So between 12 to 13% to 12.3 in 2021. And I think also something which is important is the CapEx. The last 2 years we have been impacted and we always announce very high CapEx and we are not able to deliver, or we choose to delay a bit some of the projects. But I think here we have a very strong ambition in terms of CapEx. 6 billion baht is a record high. We know we have some very specific projects we want to build up in 2022, and tomorrow together with Khun Tirapong we will show you some pictures of some of these key projects we are doing right now in Thailand. So here I think it's a strong guidance. We want to increase further compared to a record high year in 2021. It will not be easy. As mentioned by Amy, we have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but I think we want to show some confidence and we trust, and I think the last 2 years have been showing that we have the right portfolio and we are in a good growth trajectory. And now back to Khun Gail for any Q&A you may have.
Thank you. So please feel free to submit your questions in the chat box, or you can unmute the microphone. So maybe we start with the first questions. So can you talk more about what the strategy for 2022 outlook that you just mentioned on the growth and the margin lift up?
Sure. So I told you that we are planning for top line growth between 4 to 5%, and we believe our 3 categories could be growing further in 2022. The ambient business, has been normalizing over the full year 2021 compared to 2020, which was record high. So we are planning to get back to growth in 2022. Same story for the frozen. The frozen performance has been extremely good in 21. 2020, the performance was a bit high. We do expect to grow further. There was an exceptional year in the US, I told you, specifically in H1 2021. We do expect that maybe the US business will kind of normalize in 2022. However, it will be offset by the growth from the frozen Thailand business, which has been very successful already in H2 2021. Finally, the pet care, value-added and others has been a very dynamic segment category. This is the most dynamic category over the last 2 years. We do expect this momentum to continue. Our pet care business is very successful. The demand for this product is very high. We have also a packaging division, which is super important, and who has been really growing and delivering a lot of good things over the past few years. There will be some challenges. We know the challenges, supply chain, they will remain. We do expect some improvement to happen in H2 2022, but the majority in the beginning of 2021. the challenges will continue, and we have a lot of challenges also in terms of raw material inflation, packaging, and also ingredient inflation. But we know how to manage. There is a bit of complexity because you have a lot of inflation factors being combined at the same time. However, there is one good thing in our challenge, which is all the food industry are facing with the same issues and the same challenges. And that's why we are pretty confident that we will be able to pass some tariff increase to our customers. We don't like to do that, but we will have to do that. Of course, we also try to be very tough with our own costs, and we are pushing further for the automation in all our factories, and we are also reworking some of our recipe in order to decrease the cost. You know that in our industry, we have a lot of competition. So if we're not competitive on the cost, then we will lose some of the businesses and some of the customers. So all these actions are here. This is for our core business, and we will push further also for the new businesses, the ingredient business, the supplement business also was quite new. In 2021, we launched the product only in Q4. We will have a full year effect, of course, coming in 2022. And lastly, the alternative protein. I think we have a lot of good discussions. Very clearly, we can see a lot of interest everywhere. So we will see some nice traction around all of this. I think in terms of revenue, these three new businesses, the ingredient business plus AP plus supplements, combined together, it's something like 900 million baht revenue in 2021, growing by double digit compared to 2020. We want to grow further in 2022 in this key area. Of course, Red Lobster will be one of the significant components. We need to confirm the recovery. We told you the beginning of 2022, we seem to have some challenges ahead of us, but we believe also that Avanti will be recovering in 2022, and that's why we are able to provide you with kind of guidance for 2022, showing some further growth compared to our record year 2021.
Then next is on the guidance for share of loss for Red Lobster before the lease expense adjustment in 2022.
Maybe we can share again the slide on Red Lobster, if it is possible. So I told you that the share of loss from operation from Red Lobster was some single share of loss like 178 million baht loss for 2021. You can see in this one. Keep in mind that in this one, we have some positive impact coming and one-off coming from the PPP and the US government measures for something like 120. So the baseline is something around 300 million baht, just for you to have the complete picture on this one. And we told you that right now we are facing with some challenging at Red Lobster, some inflation on the raw materials and also some impact coming from the Omicron. So we expect a slight deterioration to happen in 2022. And the guidance for the share of loss coming from the operation from Red Lobster is between 350 to 450 for the full year. I'm just talking about the operation. So it would be, we do expect a deterioration compared to the 300 million baht baseline I gave you for 2021. However, there is a good news on the lease accounting adjustment just below. The impact was 637 for 2021. There was some amount which were reported to 2020 on this amount. So we do expect the guidance for this specific line is around 400 million baht. So if you add the two together, the share of loss from the operation and the share of loss from the lease accounting adjustment, the total should be close to 800 million baht, okay, which is very close from the numbers we had in 2021. So we do expect the share of loss to be kind of stable for Red Lobster for next year, but we'll have a kind of a shift between further losses coming from the operation and reduce these losses coming from the lease accounting adjustment. Of course, we are not happy with this situation. We want to improve further, and we will be very happy to show some improvement year after year. However, we have to recognize also that right now we are facing some unique circumstances, and the Omicron variant is very strong in the US. The whole restaurant industry is facing some very heavy challenges right now in December and in Jan on this one. That's why we prefer to be a bit careful on this one for Red Lobster for the guidance 2022.
Next, can you tell us the situation in Europe? What could change if it's a broader sanction on last year?
I think it's a good question. And you can see that the situation right now is highly volatile. Of course, we follow on a day-to-day basis. So a few things. First of all, in Russia, we have some businesses, but it's quite small for the time being. So even if there are some sanctions affecting Russia, we don't expect a large impact in our business. Now, if we are just considering a worst case scenario where we talk about a real war happening in Europe between Russia and the NATO or the US or whoever, then it could become more and more difficult. Right now, this is not the scenario. So at this stage, we don't expect significant impact coming from this one. However, we want to follow carefully. On this one, of course, you know that we are already facing some huge challenges with supply chain disruption and crisis, inflation topic, regarding fuel, regarding fish price, regarding packaging, ingredients. So we have already a lot of challenges. So of course, we don't like that. We don't like this kind of uncertainty to come, and we would prefer to have peace remaining, of course. But we don't control that, so we follow carefully. But at this stage, we don't expect any significant impact coming from that.
Next, would you explain the main contributor to the large other gains that mentioned 1.9 billion baht in 2021?
What is this one, the 1.9? What does it refer to? The other gain, any idea?
Maybe
on the FX or?
Yeah, before I think maybe we can like go further for next. Then we come back again.
Okay.
Yeah. So the spike of the ratio of the private label sales in ambient in fourth quarter, would it say that the retailer stocking before the price increase? It was rather low because it was rather low in the previous 2 quarters.
Sure, I think it's a good point. I think you are right. I think we have seen one of the explanation of the high sales and revenue in Q4 is many people and many retailers and consumers are expecting to have some price increase. We did communicate on that, and everyone can read the news. So yes, indeed, we have some ramp up. Some of our customers are building up the inventories in Q4 very clearly on this one. This is also why we do expect to have a softer growth happening in Q1 2022. So absolutely correct and fully aligned with that. There is a mechanical effect. It's not the first year. We can see that every year when the customers are anticipating some price increase, they will build up a bit the inventories in Q4.
Okay. I think the gains that mentioned is on the other income.
Sure. So in the other income for the full year, sorry, now I get it. The key component for this one will be the preferred interest coming from Red Lobster. You know, we have 8% coming from the investment we have been doing on the preferred interest on this one. So this is a key component. It has been growing a bit compared to last year. Apart from this one, we have also the management fees also coming from Red Lobster. If you do remember, in 2020, we did not record any management fees because the situation was very difficult. So we decided to help them also by waiving these management fees. So we have in 2021, the management fees which are back, plus we have a bit of a catch up of 2020 because finally we were able to invoice part of these management fees. We have also some plus and minus depending on the impairment. We did record some impairment last year in 2020. We also did a bit in 2021, however, to a lower amount. Okay, I think these are the 3 key components that you will see in this line.
And could you please talk about the result of branded tuna price negotiation in Europe?
Yeah. So usually we don't communicate on that. I think you know that, of course, for obvious confidentiality reasons. Just to tell you that right now we are in the middle of the negotiation. I think we have different situation by countries. In the UK, it's almost done. It's quicker. In France, it's a bit longer. They have until end of Feb to find some agreement. And I can tell you the discussions are really tough. Not only with us, but I mean for all the food industry and all the food specialists. And you know, when we discuss with our customers in Europe, initially they always request for some price decrease. And of course, we had some hard discussion a few weeks ago when we say, no, we will have to have some price increase because of this reason. I think the discussion now are more open, yet it's always a challenge. Keep in mind, especially for ambient product in Europe, the customers, our customers, the retailers, they want to keep the prices of this product very low because for them, it's one way for them to attract the people in their stores. And that's why the discussions are always tough. It will continue to be the same in 2022. So we don't share with any numbers. I would expect that in Q1, we won't see yet the effect because very often the impact of any price increase, if any, will happen in Q2. Okay, so we need a bit of time, and sometimes you have a bit of a time lag between the negotiation and then the effectiveness of this price increase. But this is just a normal operation for us. We know this is part of our expertise to know how to negotiate with our customers on this one. It's not an easy situation. There is one good thing, again, all the food industries and all the food companies are facing with the same challenges.
And then what's your view on the cost pressure situation in 2022?
I think this is clearly one of our key challenges. We told you that in 21 we had to face with a huge inflation coming from the freight cost. The total impact for the full year was something around 1.6. Can you imagine that? 1.6 billion baht just coming from the freight cost increase. But I think we did show that in 2021 we have been able to absorb these costs and to pass through the majority of these costs to our customers. There is one difficulty which is on top of these freight costs, which are not decreasing. We are also facing some inflation in the packaging. You've heard, I'm sure, about aluminium and steel inflation, and also the packaging and on the ingredients, on the oil, and we are using a lot of oil in our different products. So the difficulty is here coming from, we have some inflation which are very large and very unique on the logistic costs, also on the packaging and also on the oil. It's not an easy situation, of course, a lot of challenges ahead of us, but we are quite confident that we can face with this one. And I think we need to be ready to see maybe from time to time, from quarter to quarter, our gross profit declining a bit, because sometimes we have a bit of time to be able to pass through this tariff increase. But if you look at the track record over the last 2 years, we have been very successful to face with these challenges. Again, it's not the first time for us we are facing with this one, and this is clearly our expertise. There is one thing to be also a bit careful, which is on the raw material price. We told you over the last few years, we have been quite lucky. On the raw material, it was always in our comfort zone between 1,300 to 1,700. You can see in Q4 there was a bit of inflation. It's still under control. However, it's a clear watch out for us. And you know there is a high correlation between the fuel price and the tuna price, especially the fuel price right now is very high. So we do expect some inflation also in the fish price. This is already in our forecast for 2022, but it has to be under a certain limit. And of course, if we get back to a situation like 2017, when there was hyperinflation for the fish cost, then it will be a different story. But right now, it's not the case, but we follow this one very carefully.
I think the last one that I've seen, since the global inflation situation is accelerating, so what should we expect to impact TU performance? This is already factored in your 2022 guidance?
Correct. We did already factor in our guidance for 22, the inflation, the packaging, on the oil. Of course, you always take some assumptions, and of course, you are always wrong. Sometimes the real inflation will be higher, and sometimes it will be lower. Overall, we try that the big picture will be okay. We need to wait for the few next months and quarters also to see this one, but we are confident, and that's why we maintain our guidance for gross profit margin above the 18%, between the 18 to 18.5. Of course, we will compare with 2021, which is at 18.2 for the full year, which is record high, but we want to confirm this one. Keep in mind also that, of course, the inflation of the logistic cost, we did increase our selling prices to absorb this one, so it helps also our gross profit margin. So something you need to look at is really also the bottom line, the operating profit margin, which has been deteriorating a bit in 2021 because we have really an increase in our top line, and especially a push of our frozen product and frozen division, which is traditionally a bit less profitable compared to the two others.
No more further questions in the chat box. Would you have anyone would like to have live questions? So please unmute your microphone before we ending our session today. Okay, coming another question is, can you explain what is the paycheck protection plan? What is it actually impact to us?
Sure. So here, if you do remember, in 2020, there were a lot of measures coming from the US government in order to support the whole restaurant industry, because the restaurant industry was really impacted by the COVID-19 in 2020. So one of the measures was to provide some financing to the restaurants. So they were providing some loans to all the restaurant industries. The good news is in 2021, the US government did forgive these loans. So it's like free money given to the restaurant industry. The reason behind is it was like a motivation for the restaurant industry to keep their employees, not to fire all the employees. So it was one way for the US government to support the employment rate in the US. The impact for Red Lobster in terms of PPP forgiveness is $15 million in 2021, and the impact for us in our share profit is 25% of this amount. So roughly, it's something like 120 million baht for the whole year, and the vast majority is in Q4, something around 83 million baht, and that's why we did mention this one in the adjustment. There were a portion also in Q2 and Q3, but very small amount.
I think the next is, would that happen again in other quarter?
We would love that. We would love that, but we don't know right now. At this stage, we don't have any information going in this direction. 2 years ago, there was a very strong support from the US government. It has been easing in 2021. At this stage, we don't have any visibility on this one. We're not aware of any plan like this one. I asked exactly the same question beginning of the week to the management of Red Lobster. At this stage, there is no visibility on this one. I think it will be worthwhile. Honestly, given the challenges the restaurant industry is facing with the Omicron, it will be worthwhile, but of course, this is completely out of control. So right now, in our own guidance, the 350 to 450, we don't have any assumptions of additional PPP to come and to benefit to Red Lobster in 2022.
Thank you. So I think we conclude our presentation today. So of course, we also encourage you to join tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Bangkok time. This is for 2022 guidance. Kun Thirapong Sansari will join us as well. So today we thanks for all participants and also key speaker from Thai Union. Thank you. Have a pleasant day.
Thanks a lot. Just a quick word for tomorrow. I think tomorrow we will insist much more 2022. Okay, today we are really focusing on 21, trying to explain to you the great performance. Tomorrow I think we will elaborate really more on 2022. What are our projects? What do we want to do? The different initiatives. So if you are available, very happy if you can join us for the call. Okay. Thanks a lot again. Very happy and very proud about the performance. Thanks to all the Thai Union employees for making this one possible. Thanks a lot, Amy, also, and Lina for the presentation today, and looking forward for talking to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, and stay safe, everybody.
Bye-bye. Cheers, guys. See you.
Bye.